The rise of SpaceX Company. SpaceX has fought and won against problems that seemed impossible to solve, all the while moving toward the goal of making humans a multi-planet species to make it less likely that we will all die out. Continue watching this video for the stunning ascent of the SpaceX Corporation, an overview of SpaceX and its long-term objectives. The ambitions of SpaceX are very obvious, if not a little bit audacious, to make space travel common and accessible, as well as to make humans a species that can live on more than one planet. However, it is not as easy as it would first seem. Elon Musk's aerospace firm, which goes by the name Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, is one of the companies that was instrumental in bringing about the current age of commercial space travel. It was established in 2002 and has its headquarters in Hawthorne, California. It is the first privately owned business to successfully launch and dock a crewed spacecraft with the International Space Station. Additionally, it is the first firm to successfully launch and return a rocket from Earth's orbit. Elon Musk established SpaceX with the intention of revolutionizing the aerospace industry and making access to space more accessible and inexpensive. Being a successful businessman already, he realized that in order to support the early development of its rockets, he required a reliable client as a source of revenue. So he was able to locate that client in NASA. But that's not the end of it. Here is a synopsis of how SpaceX got to the top position it now occupies and how it got there. The rise. In 2006, NASA also presented SpaceX with the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services contract. Within the parameters of this contract, SpaceX was tasked with developing and demonstrating a launch mechanism that would enable them to resupply the International Space Station with cargo. Since that time, this business has successfully completed many trips to the International Space Station. In addition, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract to build and test a human-rated version of the Dragon spacecraft as part of its Commercial Crew Development Program, which is designed to ferry crew members to the International Space Station. Today, SpaceX has a launch escape mechanism that is completely verified and human-rated, and it is integrated inside the spaceship. After SpaceX's Dragon capsule safely returned from a low-orbit mission on December 8, 2010, the firm made history by being the first privately owned business to successfully launch and then retrieve a spacecraft from orbit. In recognition of this accomplishment, SpaceX was presented with the Space Achievement Award by the Space Foundation. And proceed. Since a long time ago, SpaceX has been unveiling numerous innovative design ideas and implementations for shuttles and rockets in the form of blueprints and prototypes. These shuttles and rockets can be manufactured at a lesser cost, but provide more dependability than conventional space vehicles. Musk said on the SpaceX website that our performance will increase and our prices will decline over time, as is the case with every other technology. However, it is now abundantly evident that he was successful in bringing about a significant shift in the manner in which space exploration and travel are conducted. In response to a question regarding why SpaceX did not submit patent applications, Elon Musk said, although in a humorous tone, "We try not to provide a recipe by which China can copy us, and we find our inventions coming right back at us." However, he has not been shy about discussing SpaceX's strategy for the design of rockets, which is predicated on the idea that simplicity is the key to both dependability and cost-effectiveness. It is unequivocally evident that the company's goal was to make space travel less difficult and more accessible at a lower cost. But Elon Musk also has another goal in mind, and that is the exploration and colonization of Mars by humans. Musk is of the opinion that with SpaceX's current rate of expansion, this objective may be easily accomplished within the next few decades. Musk first coined the term Mars Colonial Transporter in June of 2013 to designate the privately financed development project that aims to design and construct a spaceflight system consisting of rocket engines, launch vehicles, and space capsules that are capable of transporting people to Mars and bringing them back to Earth. In January 2020, with the third launch of the Starlink project, SpaceX became the biggest commercial satellite constellation operator in the whole globe. Cape Canaveral, Vandenberg Air Force Base, Brownsville, South Texas, and the Kennedy Space Center are the 4 locations where the rocket business has established orbital launch sites as of the year 2022. The Starship, a whole suite of technologies for reusable launch vehicles, and an innovative rocket engine that runs on liquid methane are some of the future items that SpaceX is currently working on developing. And now, Let's take a look at each of SpaceX's achievements one at a time. Falcon 1. The Falcon 1 was SpaceX's first rocket, and it was created with the intention of placing tiny satellites into orbit around the Earth. The competition, which mostly consisted of publicly owned businesses that received funding from the government like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, primarily consisted of two-stage rockets that used liquid fuel and were far more expensive to manufacture and operate than the Falcon 1. Thus, the cost-effectiveness of the Falcon 1 was largely due, in large part, to SpaceX's invention of the Merlin engine, which was intended to be a more affordable alternative to those of its competitors. So, in 2008, SpaceX made history by being the first commercial firm to successfully launch a rocket powered by a liquid propellant into orbit around the Earth. 3 months after this momentous flight, SpaceX was awarded a contract by NASA to provide maintenance and repair services to the International Space Station with a potential value of over $1 billion. Falcon 9. Falcon 9 was SpaceX's first launch of a larger spacecraft, which took place in 2010 and was appropriately called after having 9 engines. It was essential for a rocket to have the capability of reusability in order to bring down the cost of traveling into space. Following through on that commitment, SpaceX made sure that the Falcon 9 could be used more than once. And, in 2015, SpaceX was successful in returning a Falcon 9 first stage to a location close to where it had been launched. In 2016, SpaceX also began attempting to land the second stage of its rocket in the ocean on unmanned ships, and it was ultimately successful in doing so. But, when a Falcon 9 second stage was used in a launch for the second time in 2017, this was the first time that it has been reused correctly. Starship. The Super Heavy Starship system, which used to be called the BFR, is the rocket that will replace the Falcon 9. It is at the center of Musk's plan to put people on Mars. It's also what NASA wants to use to send humans from Artemis to the Moon. The BFR would be able to lift 100,000 kilograms into low Earth orbit. Its payload would be the Starship, a spaceship that could travel between major towns on Earth in less than an hour and help people build bases on the Moon and Mars. Starship is at the heart of all of SpaceX's plans, both now and in the future. Musk said in February 2022 that SpaceX wants to be able to launch 1 Super Heavy every hour and 1 Starship every 6 to 8 hours, putting up to 150 tons of cargo into Earth's orbit. This would cut costs and make plans for a Mars base more financially feasible. So the next plan for Starship is for Japanese businessman Yusaku Maezawa and a few other artists picked by him to fly around the Moon in 2023. Starlink. When Starlink was first released, it caused a lot of controversy, and astronomers were not happy with SpaceX's plans to put 12,000 small satellites in Earth's orbit as part of a cluster. But in 2019, SpaceX started releasing satellites for its Starlink service. This was done so that satellite internet could be used almost everywhere on Earth. The first version of Starlink is supposed to work with a group of more than 4,400 satellites, and in the future, there are plans to add another 7,500 satellites. As of 2022, more than 2,200 of the 4,800 working satellites in Earth's orbit belong to Starlink. And about 50 Starlink are sent into space at once by a single Falcon 9 trip. SpaceX, as it exists now. Since its inception in 2002, SpaceX has made significant strides forward. In less than 21 years, SpaceX has gone from being Elon Musk's idea of conducting a greenhouse experiment on Mars to being the company that is responsible for the majority of rocket launches. After suffering 3 consecutive failures in its attempts to reach space, SpaceX was on the brink of going out of business at one point in its history. SpaceX just about managed to pull together enough components for a 4th rocket, but it launched it anyway, and the rest, as they say, is history. The firm has achieved tremendous advancements in the realm of space transportation, beginning with the creation of the Falcon 1 and Falcon 9 rockets, and culminating with the launch of the Falcon Heavy, which is now the most powerful operational rocket in the world. Although SpaceX does generate money by launching goods into space for a variety of clients, including those in the commercial sector, the military, and non-profit organization, the company's major emphasis is still on creating new technologies for space exploration in the future. Despite the numerous obstacles and failures, Musk has not given up on his aim of establishing a colony on Mars. SpaceX is still fully dedicated to achieving its long-term objective of lowering the cost of traveling into space and making it possible for humans to colonize Mars. In addition to continuing to research technologies for future space travel, the business has announced ideas for a self-sustaining Mars colony, as well as a Martian transportation system that has been given the name Starship. These projects have the potential to significantly increase humanity's capability to explore and settle on other worlds, which would be beneficial to both parties. Elon Musk added that, "It's the first time in 4.5 billion years that we are at a level of technology where we have the ability to reach Mars." When the year 2024 rolls around, SpaceX will be the only commercial spaceflight business that is able to launch humans into space. And that wraps things up. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and spark the like button to supercharge YouTube algorithm. And I will see you on the next one.